We
And
are
everything
live.
evolves, you see. It all evolves. Some
Yeah,
at a faster pace than others.
yeah.
Um, and right now I find Japan quite fascinating.
Yes, it's
We are here. I'm in San Diego. Michael Piker is in Tokyo, and Beverly Sun is in Hong
Hong
Kong
Kong at the moment.
today. Yeah, that's great. So thank you for being again my guest on the show. Um, this is what I affectionately call the global meeting room. And what does that mean? It means that it's a psychologically safe place because I built it that way. And a psychologically safe place, or psych safe, for business introductions, conversations, and hopefully building rapport and friendships, strengthening relationships across time and space. This is being recorded.
Hmm.
You will receive copies of the video and the audio and the text notes um, uh, probably in my tomorrow, which is your weekend. So thank you very much, people, for being here. Um, I had this is the third broadcast today for me. A few hours ago, I did a program with a husband and wife consulting team in the Washington, D.C. area, where they have freezing weather and snow.
Oh yes.
And here in San Diego, it's sun's about to set here. It was 80 degrees today, which
Hmm.
was absolutely beautiful, of course.
very different.
Yeah. And what's the weather like this morning in Tokyo, Michael?
Cold and sunny, but absolutely pristine. I can see Mount Fuji out my office window, which is
Oh,
really.
how far away is that from where
It's
you're sitting?
about by train about an hour and a half. But the view of Tokyo Tower and the Shinkansen coming in and out of Tokyo Station every 2 minutes, the bullet train.
Yeah.
It's like the classic juxtaposition of Tokyo.
Hmm.
Well, that's fabulous. Wow, it's so exciting. I would love to go to Tokyo. I've never been there, but
You should
I
do a
don't know.
Oh,
show.
you.
Yeah,
Oh, you must.
you
Yeah.
must. It's not 80 degrees though.
No, not at this time of year. I know. I know. Anyway, so did you get that email I sent you about Gen Z? My question to you, Michael,
Oh.
Is Gen Z an issue like it is here in the U.S.?
We have, well, for example, every April 1st in Japan, every Japanese company hires the new grads, so the millennials, the Gen Zs. And so then they typically progress and then they work 30 years and they retire. So every Japanese company has every, if you will, generational group you can imagine. So lately, the Zs for us, at least in Japan, is somewhat similar to the West. ESG, socialization. They're really not interested in money. They're interested in society. They're interested in good and products that give back to the earth. So their value set is very different than the boomers or people like me. So you have a very burgeoning gap, just like the West, and it also manifests itself in Japan as well.
Yeah. Is that the case also in Taipei, Beverly,
I
generationally?
I find it's a little bit more homogeneous than it is in Japan. Obviously, it's a smaller population, 25 million, and it's quite special as a country in as much as I would say that they are so culturally steeped in tradition Chinese. It's changing. It is changing, but I don't think you have the dramatic or progressive changes that you see in some of the other countries. It will over time, but at the moment, much more homogeneous, I find.
What about in Singapore and Hong Kong? Is Gen Z a big issue?
I don't consider it an issue. I consider it a departure from tradition where people are much more exposed and are much more interested in the environment. And as you've all said, ESG now becomes part of a lifestyle. And we continue to be a little bit more conservative in that respect. But you do see changes in China as well. Probably in China, it's even more progressive because I would say that after the Cultural Revolution, which took away culture, you started a new society with new values, and given the vastness of the population of 1.4 billion, you have much more variation in the populace. If that's can be a general statement.
Yeah, thank you very much. So Michael, thank you for your time. How much time can you give us today?
I think you had 45 minutes or so. I can do that.
Okay, it doesn't have to be that long if we run out of words to say, but
I don't think we have to worry about that.
So nice. Okay, so Shiseido, do they have people, forgive my ignorance, but I'm just asking because the audience wants to know too. Does your company have population in other countries?
Yeah, we're in 120 countries.
Oh boy.
And about 33,000 around the world.
Yeah, and including US, of course.
Yeah, we have about 3,000 in America.
Yeah, and is London big?
UK is big, but Paris, Singapore, Shanghai, Tokyo, and are really the big bubbles, the regional headquarters.
Yeah, is that because of fashion? But you didn't mention Milano.
Milano, no. We're beauty, but you're right. Fashion, no question, Paris, Milano. But beauty tends to be in high travel retail centers. Or, for example, in America, which is the largest beauty market in the world.
Interesting, yeah. Okay, so in Hong Kong, Beverly, this is not a political show, but business is certainly impacted by politics. So, we read stuff here that we don't know what to believe. But with a government crackdown in Hong Kong to tighten up, is it noticeable? Are people living in fear?
And I think I would say that crackdown was some years ago now, and thereafter, security law was imposed in Hong Kong, and we've gone, I think, through several phases. And at the moment, I would say that whilst Hong Kong is part of China, it does act independently. And I think we are somewhat different from China in that there is the separation of law and government. And I would say that over the last year, you can see a consolidation of the separation. So, having now gone through COVID, Hong Kong, I believe, from my own perspective, is in a very solid spot. We're bringing back finance. We're bringing back companies. It's slow in coming because the economy has suffered globally. But I think there's a reassurance now that we're very stabilized and will be quite separate from China. So I'm very optimistic about Hong Kong over the next few years. I think China has also will be listing Chinese, very, very large companies, instead of now going to the New York Stock Exchange because of the sanctions and all of the so-called tariffs now being and restrictions being imposed, Hong Kong becomes a more attractive place in which to be. I foresee.
So that's how it was, 90 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so now it's going back to the old British way, but Chinese.
Well, I would say not British. I would just say it just is an independent state where you do have the rule of law separated from government, and serves. It's based on British law, common law. And so the courts exist, et cetera. And that is important for businesses to have the security of a legal backdrop in which they are offering services and establish their businesses. So we see that companies are coming in slowly. And again, I think the fact that you see very large Chinese companies now looking to list here in the stock exchange will be another booster for not just Hong Kong, but probably for the region. So I would think that Indonesia, Thailand, and Malaysia, which host huge populations and where there's tremendous wealth, will look also to come to Hong Kong as investors.
Pardon me, I'm trying to get a book out here. But
Now,
that's
Michael,
fascinating.
I don't know how you see it from Japan, from a
Yeah,
perspective
I,
of.
I absolutely concur. If I read correctly, Beverly, I think the tourist numbers have come back post-COVID. Exceptional uptick in the last year, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
Placement of demonstrations and things have calmed down, to your point. We have, I think, 600 people in Shiseido, Hong Kong. So exactly the sentiment you raised. I think there's a buoyancy, optimism, enthusiasm, listing, and a general optimistic view. It's
Oh,
really
that's
Mhm.
good to hear.
Yeah.
in
And when you start traveling to major cities, I've just come back from Europe and from the UK recently, and I was in the US. I would say the safety
yeah,
aspect of Hong Kong is just so profound.
I
You
agree.
never have to worry about crime. It's you lose your phone in a taxi. The taxi drops it off at your home, looks for you to call. I mean, it's just
Same in Japan. Yeah.
amazing. Yes, the honesty
Oh,
factor,
well,
right?
I love that idea. Wow.
Community
London,
responsibility.
they steal phones in London where I came from, but like you said, you can leave it on the table an hour later, it'll be there. Literally in a Tokyo cafe, it happened to me.
Mhm.
Wow. It's
Yeah.
so interesting.
And everybody
That's
Mhm.
helps each other.
that is
Mhm.
really a great cultural story.
And I think, unfortunately, perceptions are driven in the West. So you have tremendous amount of fear factor, biases are encouraged. And when though people make their visit, they're quite to physically arrive in Asia. I think they're quite stunned with the harmony and the openness that they see here, safety as well. And it's a very sophisticated Japan, Hong Kong, Taiwan, all very sophisticated in their own right,
I
which
agree.
people don't think about. They think of us in being in rice paddies still. No, it's true. People are
True.
shocked.
We moved on from rice paddies. It's true. In a big way.
That's funny. Well,
Mm.
I was holding up this magazine. This is
I,
the front cover, California Bound Relocation Guide. Now, this
oh,
is the 1981 edition. So it's all about the LA area and the
yeah.
recruitment too. Okay. So anyway, I show you that because I printed it in Hong Kong, in Shenzhen, way back then, way back then. And I was, so I was, um, I wouldn't say a big wheel, but my product was a big deal inside the LA Chamber of Commerce because all the companies used it and they bought thousands and thousands of copies. And then they resold them to the corporate members of the chamber and the LA Economic Development. Anyway, so there I met at the chamber this guy who was a Korean guy from Seoul, spoke English very well, very nice looking guy. And he became a friend. And then, of course, he wanted me to try printing, not in California, where I was, but in Seoul or in China, in Shenzhen. right over the
Mhm.
border. But
Right.
at that time, Shenzhen was full of mud. It's nothing like it is now. But so we did that, and then he flew me over at his expense, and they did a fantastic job. This is beautiful. This is almost 200 pages, glossy color, and so we printed there for about 10 years in Shenzhen,
Wow.
and then we went to Seoul, uh, and
Hmm.
and uh, and they matched the Shenzhen prices, so I did it, and they
Hmm.
treated me like I was like a king. It was really super cool for me. That was my first. That whole thing was my first exposure to the Asian culture, the real one,
Hmm.
business culture.
Hmm. Hmm.
I loved it.
Well, even if we have offices in Shanghai, Beijing, and Guangzhou, and I visit, of course, regularly. But I have to say, within a span of 6 months, you just see the growth. Look at Shenzhen now. I mean, it's just state of the art. You can't even compare Shanghai. Uh, well, this not only the hardware, it's the software of people,
Yes.
so sophisticated and so service oriented. And this is interesting for you because in terms of retail, major state of the art shopping malls are being constructed because now the purchase power in China is so dramatic that they are only wanting luxury goods. And this is where luxury products are now honing in, not first tier cities anymore, but to second and third tier cities. They
Tier city.
bring the product to you.
Yes. You don't have to fly to a tier one city. You can shop in a tier two city. Exactly.
That's right. That's right.
In person, yeah, right.
That's
And
right. Tactile. They like to touch the goods, whereas in the U.S., where everything's online now.
and Ed, you probably know, and Shenzhen, Beverly knows, of course. So it's just across from Hong Kong. It's more Cantonese, but then you have a huge tech hub. My last companies were, and WeChat, of course, headquarters, most important social media platform in China is in Shenzhen. So it is an economic dynamo is a city. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In fact, I'll be up there this weekend on two days in the evening because the Verbier Music Festival will be
Nice.
held in the new hall.
Wow. Wow. Very nice.
It all comes to you now with the best of the best. Yu Jia Wang, Capuchon, Gautier, Capuchon. I'm just on and on and on. Joshua Bell, they're all now also from a music
Shenzhen.
company.
Wow. Very.
Mhm.
so the word here is in U.S. business is that Trump and Xi are going to make some kind of an accommodation deal later this year, if they're still both alive, I guess. But uh, because rather than fight with
Oh,
each other, they want to
That's correct.
rule the world together, just divide it up.
right.
Well,
Yeah.
they should be the natural powers. They're two of the largest economies, and I think in many ways they're shared value. When you speak about people on the street, there's honesty, there's caring, compassion, and I find that both these cultures endorse these values. You look at America, family oriented, a little bit differently in expression, but the basics are there for these two countries. So.
Well
Well,
said.
this conversation is really helpful for my audience out there. LinkedIn recently, this bit of a commercial, but it's timely. Uh, LinkedIn has been watching what I'm doing, of course. I've been on LinkedIn since I started, almost 20 years ago. But uh, our reach is if through the member groups that I belong to 100 groups, but and they won't let me join anymore unless I drop one. So the number within that 100 groups is almost 3 million. But doesn't mean they all look at what I'm doing. they receive it in their inbox, but they may not open it. In fact, probably the real number for like the distribution of this show in the next month, starting probably this time tomorrow, that will easily reach 750,000. And LinkedIn measured recently during the last 30, 40 days or so, since about Thanksgiving, a little bit more than 60% of the viewer impressions, as they call it.
Yeah.
So in other words, people look at things. It doesn't say how long they look, but that they look at it. 61% were in quote unquote senior leadership roles within companies having 10,000 or more employees. That is a win. That is really good. And the number approaches 70% when the number drops to management or senior within companies with 1,000 or more employees, which of course includes 10,000 or more. So, we've got a lot of readers, a lot of lookers. And this show, I think, will be really interesting because it's so conversational and easy rather than regimented and as you could tell, not rehearsed. So that's okay. I like it spontaneous. So Beverly, I thank you for your time here. There's something that
My pleasure.
you can use my audience to help your business be that will be very effective for your business in the coming months?
I think maybe I'm trying to think of something that's really focused and targeted, that's structured in an informal way, is topic specific. I think
Yes.
it would be interesting to see for the audience here um, what trends might be occurring in the US in terms of corporations, how they might view, how they look to enhance, or are they looking to enhance globally, or are they now withdrawing to become more domestic? The general sentiment, and how can we in this part of the world look to influence and to make change?
So that's a really good question. And Michael, I certainly want your input on this. But um, I'm thinking that globalization is here to stay, but it's going to be really different because there's so much growth outside of the US in the largest companies that they're already just separate companies. They just happen to have the same name. So, I think the regional divisions of whatever company, it doesn't matter what, they're going to stay and stay where they are and develop where you are almost autonomously, as I think, because they're so different than what goes on in North America. Michael?
I think it's one of the concerns in China now. It's becoming its own market. So,
Yes.
and I think that is not good for globalization. I think there was certainly an initial vision to be in a global marketplace, but as other countries have somewhat cut us off or cut China off, then they're now looking a little bit more inward. And that's not necessarily good for globalization. And they will likely, so I'd like to encourage that there be a future of globalization sustained. Maybe, as you say, Ed, a little bit differently.
Yeah, I mean, things are global but regionalized. I think that's
Yeah.
probably a better way of saying it.
I agree with that.
Michael, what do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, I concur. There's this notion of what's called a tripartite world, and you've probably read it, heard about it, seen it. You have Xi in APAC, you have our friend GJT and, Americas, and then Putin, of course, for Eastern Europe and that. So there's three sort of catalysts, regionalized, but are they going to actually go horizontal? I don't know. And give you an example. Keir Starmer, the PM of the UK, was in Beijing yesterday. So you know that, and every Macron and every chancellor has gone to Beijing in the last 4 weeks because they feel less of a shared value with the US. So they're dystopically going more to China, which is good, to build a concurrent relationship because they're being super pragmatic about the future. Whether it includes the US or not, they need to spread their wings. You look at the EU, just signed a huge agreement as well
Yeah, with India. Yeah.
with India yesterday, 2 days ago, which was
And also South
very good,
America.
and South America as well. So these combinations are going to devolve and become more amorphous, which is good. So it's globalization in a
Mhm.
way.
Yeah, it's global, but assignments will be what more permanent. Uh, well, maybe they'll still be in and out a year, 6 months, that kind of thing. But I think people will go to China, Hong Kong, Singapore. If Taipei still exists, then they'll go there. But
We have,
It
we,
exists.
yeah,
yeah,
I would think so. It's in
our
China's interest not to have a war.
Yeah, our assignees are a bit reticent from Japan, for example, to go to Shanghai because of the tension, which Beverly knows. But I find I've done this 36 years in about 9 companies. I see people are a little more reticent to take an assignment now because they're worried about their personal safety. They're worried about their family being able to navigate adroitly. For example, going to the US now with the noise. I have expats that are reticent to go. America was the beacon of hope, and now Japan and US, can they navigate and be safe in America with the noise? And some have said no. So this is a very interesting manifestation of America was always the beacon, and now there's a bit of, can I really go there now? Whereas they can go to Netherlands in a heartbeat or France, but Houston or LA or New York with the noise, Minneapolis,
There is noise and it's disgusting, but the danger is
But
actually frightening to me personally.
it's
that's right. It's not just noise. It's in fact occurrences, incidences that are consistent.
consistent. Exactly. I could give an example. I have Japanese constantly in Tokyo ask me, why is America a thug now? Why? This is, America and Japan were like this for so many years, and now they're looking at my home country and saying, what happened? Why are you guys so not nice now?
Yeah.
And they want to
Yeah.
go live in America now.
There is a concern for personal safety, no doubt.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
No doubt.
and that could reverse itself, but the cat's out of the bag, so to speak. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of crazy people out there here.
But intra-Asia moves, intra-Europe, no problem. I mean, that will continue unabated, and that's great. So I see those development points will continue.
Shift.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
and
So
yes,
mhm.
yes. Go ahead, Beverly, please.
No, I totally agree with Michael. You can see the opening of Europe now. I think they went into shock when all of the changes, the tariff threatened NATO, etc. And so they've now consolidated as one group. I think historically they've been more silo as individual countries, culturally, politically, but I see there's a greater alignment, and again, all also engaging with India, engaging with China, looking into other markets as well, and they will have to, just because their own infrastructures, I think, are require that they open to a country such as China. Vietnam.
Yeah, I was back
So,
I have a home in Amsterdam at Christmas, and I was in Italy as well.
mm,
And I felt a profound sense of Europeanness as a group that we're in this together. So give it Ukraine, give it Greenland, give it NATO, and having lived in Europe for so many years, I've a sense of self and a sense of we're in this together as a group. And
mhm. Isn't
we're
that a wonderful change, right?
yeah, it used to be member state led, but now as a compendium of member states unified, looking at the world as one. That for me
Hmm.
is a profound shift in the last 10 years.
That's
So
right.
so that's good. So the EU can hold its own in Davos and speak its own voice, and be comfortable to do so.
I was
Hmm.
particularly impressed by the Rutte, the former Netherlands prime minister,
Oh,
who's
Ruti, yeah,
now
NATO
in
chief.
NATO, and what a smart dude! And of first of all, being there, the right guy at the right time with the strong voice,
Yeah.
not only with Trump, but with the Europeans about it's time to shape up and do more for ourselves.
Yeah, Ruti has an interesting reputation in the Netherlands because he's more of a yes man, but absolutely the right person, the right time with we know who. And he's cajoled the member states at 5% defense spending target, and he's gotten it. And he said pragmatically, you cannot survive without the US. But he somehow coexists between the two and navigates quite adroitly and speaks his
Hmm.
mind that doesn't annoy people. So
Constructive.
he has this gift to advocate NATO's position in the EU. Like Greenland 2 weeks ago was a debacle. He somehow got through that debacle and Trump calmed down. So
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
and then if you look in Asia, if you pivot, we don't have necessarily an equivalent of NATO and APAC, but you have ASEAN, which is more economic but not military. So it's a
Hmm.
different manifestation based on the regions.
Fascinating. Thank you very much for joining me. Please come back. We like to grow this. I would love to have representation from Manila and Seoul and Vietnam and Australia and Wellington. And so I've been reaching out one on one. I'm connected with a lot of different people in the whole region, but not close. It's just I'm sending them all this stuff. And there's strengthening of relationships as a result of us having this kind of conversation. Thank you.
You're most welcome. But definitely
Thank you.
focus on Australia and the other markets. They're fantastic, fertile markets to grow.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So in Wellington, Beverly, do you know June Ransom
No,
from
I don't.
it's a relocation service in New Zealand? I can connect you as a courtesy. And
Hmm.
Australia, I have some relationships, but others have retired or moved on, so I have to rebuild.
I have a couple names in Australia. And I think they're fabulous. They happen to be reload companies. I'm not sure if you want corporations or
I
you want the
want
mix.
everybody. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
great.
I know why not.
Hmm.
Okay, everybody.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Okay, take care. Take
Peace.
care.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Have a good
Sure.
weekend. Thank you. Thank you, Ed. Always.